Hi guys, my name is Kieran, of course, from Red Devil Weekly, and Manchester United come away 3-1 winners from Old Trafford against Newcastle United, a win that puts 6 points in between us and any teams outside the top four, and that ends the Premier League week as well. So we end 6 points between anyone, 6 points in the top four, and I think you have to take that, especially after some of the results this weekend. It's so important that we did take this opportunity to win and get those 3 points and add points to our total, but also take points off the likes of Liverpool, who now we are probably close to being 10 points off Liverpool now as well. Just absolutely superb results, superb victory for us in the circumstances, and just the fact that our recent form in the league hadn't been great. Coming into this game, we only won 1 of our last 5, so we needed this win desperately, and it was good that we got it. Yes, obviously, as I said in the title, it was a bit of second half FC. The first half, we didn't really seem to get going, and that was also Newcastle. You have to give credit to Newcastle as well. They did keep us at bay, they did defend pretty well, but we just didn't seem to create much. We didn't look like we had too much going for us, but in the second half, we certainly stepped it up. We got the 2 goals that we needed and finished pretty comfortably in the end. We were able to bring on players like Shuratai and players like this. So you got to be happy in the end of the day. 3 points, 6 points in the top 4, 9 clear of Liverpool, as Kobe says. And Kobe, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And K-Size joined us, Connor has joined us as well, and Mia has joined us. Thanks for joining, guys. As we always do on the channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new, and also please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're watching as a video, if you're watching as a live stream, then please do let me know your thoughts in the live chat, and we'll go through them as we go through the live stream. But if you're watching as a video, please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and why don't you hit like while you're down there. Connor says Matic, Martial, Fred and Lindelof shit. Matic, Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka not bad. Great games from Rashi, Bruno, James and Shaw. I mean, there's a lot to dissect there, to be fair, Connor. I think that the players you said that were shit, I can't argue too much with that. I don't think they had the best of games. I thought, Matic actually had a decent game tonight. I actually thought Matic played alright. The one thing that goes against Matic is obviously the fact that he's just not as quick as we'd like him to be. His decision making can be a little bit slow, but to be fair today, I thought Matic played alright. Aaron Wan-Bissaka again, not bad, as you said. I probably agree with that. Maguire as well. I thought Maguire had a fairly decent game. And yeah, Bruno, Rashford, James and Shaw all had very, very good games tonight. Obviously, Rashi, Bruno and James all being the goal scorers. And Luke Shaw getting man of the match from the BT Sport pundits, if you're watching on BT Sport in the UK. Jermaine Genius giving Luke Shaw the man of the match, so it all really depends on how much you value Jermaine Genius's judgment. But yeah, Luke Shaw got man of the match, and I thought he played well. But Luke Shaw has definitely been our player of the month for February, no doubt about that. Really, really well. Well played from Daniel James and from Luke Shaw today. I thought I said that was Rich just joined us, and Rich said James played well. That's why it got into my head. I read that comment, but thanks for joining, Rich. Appreciate it. Make sure you do check out Rich Sports as well. Brilliant stuff on there. They'll be doing a live review as well, so make sure you check that out after this one finishes. Adam joined as well. Thanks for joining, Adam. He says Daniel James to the rescue. To be fair, he took his goal very well, Daniel James. I was kind of thinking that he was going to try go back across the keeper, but he put it, in the near post where Karl Darlow was beaten earlier in the game by Marcus Rashford. But yeah, Darlow probably didn't have a game to remember, and I'm happy that was the case, because he's already had a few worldy performances against us before, and he's had a few worldy performances this season against the likes of Liverpool and these sides. So I was worried that he was going to turn up at Old Trafford and have a monumental game, but in the end he did well, and he didn't do well, but he did well for us, if you know what I'm saying. Connor says think Shaw is unplayable at the moment, and James is showing why he should get more opportunities. Lindelof doing nothing to show he should be in over by. Well, 100% agree with that. I think, on the Lindelof point, that's what we've been saying on this channel for ages. There's no real reason why Lindelof should be in over Eric Bailly. We've been saying that for ages and ages on this channel. Owen's joining us. Thanks for joining, Owen. Appreciate it. SR reading slide. He says, Fred had a shocker tonight. I'm sorry to say. Don't be sorry, mate. It's your opinion. Don't be sorry. I think most of us agree with that. Rich was saying think Fred was poor early on. He did seem to lose the ball a bit, Fred. You know, when we did have passes that were going out of play, most of them were coming off the foot of Fred. So I think in terms of, you know, making opportunities and building up the play, Fred is not the player. You know, he's not the guy that does that. He's the guy that can kind of intercept and, you know, play a simple pass to get the move going on the counter-attack. He's been very, very good at that when we have had our good periods in the season. But Fred, as a player who's there to kind of create the chance, play the final pass, he's never going to be a guy that does that. So, you know, when he tries, he's often often his passes are overhit or they're not accurate enough. Daz has joined us. Well, thanks for joining, Daz, and thanks for joining Football Crew Show as well. He says, super Welsh wizard Dan James saves the day. Yeah, I love that. That'd be a great headline. But he did play well, Dan James, to be fair to him. And Daz says, well, that was an absolutely cack scene. Better performances from Cambridge United. James, Matic and Shaw were only good players on the pitch. Yeah, Daryl, I mean, that's... it's a pretty... I mean, I can't disagree massively with what you said there. The only thing I can disagree with is the fact that you've seen better performances from Cambridge United. I can tell you haven't, because Cambridge United definitely wouldn't perform that well. But yeah, what I would say is, you know, I thought James, Matic and Shaw were fairly decent. We've had a few shouts, actually, that Matic didn't have a great game, so obviously that divides opinion a little bit as well. Rich says, I forgot Martial was on the pitch at one point. Yeah, he didn't have the best of games, Martial. He didn't really have too much to offer. And that's been a theme reoccurring for Martial in quite a few games this season, especially recently, where he just hasn't been able to really put his stamp of authority on the game. And I don't know whether that's just because he's just in a really bad run of form, whether it's just the way the team's playing around him. I don't know, but you know, for me, Martial just isn't able to get in on the act as much as he was, you know, towards the back end of last season. Kobe says Rashi had Kraft on toast with his goal. Yeah, 2 times in that goal he nutmegged Kraft, the defender. Unbelievable finish as well at the near post. You know, I think Darlow probably could have done a little bit better, but you know, I just think you have to give that one to Rashford. And to me, that summed up the fact that people call us Moments FC. You know, we play an absolute stinker of a half. Let's face it, it was an absolute shocker of a half of football. And then, realistically, Rashford pops up with a bit of a moment of brilliance, you know, takes on the defender, goes past him, cuts inside and scores. And that can happen, you know, that can happen. When you've got quality individuals on the pitch, that's the sort of thing that can happen. And realistically, that's the sort of thing that wins us games in the end, because if we don't create that bit of magic, then Newcastle go in 1-0 ahead at half-time, and all of a sudden it's a completely different game. So, you know, you need those moments of brilliance. Adam says, congratulating to Solskjaer retire, second youngest player to make his debut for United. Yeah, fair play to him. I would have liked to see him get more minutes, I'm not going to lie. Similar to the Darlow substitution against Sociedad, I would have liked him to get a few more minutes, but yeah, great to see him come on the pitch. Great to see as well Rashford, you know, coming off and kind of almost having the same thing that happened to Rashford happened to Solskjaer, where, you know, a player coming off, Rashford knows what it's like to be in that situation. So it's great to see. I'm sure there'll be a picture of that circulating around social media. Daza says, Martial is the most useless player in the club. Why can't we start Greenwood instead of him? He did more in 20 minutes than Tony all game. I'm not going to lie, that is, again, as I said, a recurring theme with Martial. People are starting to lose a bit of patience with him. He's not really delivering the goods. But again, people will argue that maybe it's the team around him that aren't delivering the goods for him. But I think I agree, he should have been better. He has to be a lot better than he is. Connor says, Rashi making Kraft look like a Sunday League fullback. Yeah, it was a brilliant goal. But let me know, you guys, who you thought was man of the match tonight. I think there's a few candidates. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes got his penalty goal as well. We have to talk about that. You know, a brilliant way. I mean, as we always say in predictions, that's the perfect way to round off a Manchester United victory, is a Bruno Fernandes penalty. And moreover, a Bruno Fernandes penalty that's contentious or controversial. That's the best way. That is the best way. But he took his penalty well, and now he's the third player alongside Harry Kane and Thomas Muller to have both goals and assists in double figures for this season. So again, just showing how important he is for this team. But it's so good to have Bruno Fernandes, you know, continuing to get stats. He got an assist as well, technically, for Daniel James's goal. Keep those stats going. We need the stats to come. Rich says, Fred play passes nowhere. Need anyone that started pointing at people. Should have been subbed. Exactly. Nowhere near anyone, actually, yeah. I think, yeah, Fred didn't have the best of games tonight. He didn't have the best of games. I actually thought Matic was better than him. And actually, when you're in a midfield, when you're in the midfield two next to Nemanja Matic, and Matic is playing better than you, you know you haven't played well. So, that is something which Fred's got to address. He's got to be better there. But for me, I don't care who plays well, who doesn't, as long as we get the result. But, let's see. Rich also says Newcastle were without their best player and the first half was pretty even. Yeah, I was a bit shocked by that. I agree. We played pretty shocking in that first half. We played pretty poorly in that first half. As I said, with second half FC, again, we have a really poor first half and it takes a half of football for us to really, kind of start going at it. And unfortunately, against good sides, they'll take advantage of you, score a couple in the first half, and then you're struggling. Then you're really struggling. So again, that's something which we've got to look at. We've definitely got to look at it. Connor says, believe Scholler starts Thursday with Diallo. Hopefully they do. Dudder says, only play the young players for a max of 10 minutes. That's what I say, especially if they're just making their debut. I see that point. Obviously, I do see the point of blooding in the youngsters slowly, but I just feel like he could have got more than 2 minutes, I feel like he could have got at least 10 minutes to show what he could do. But, I actually didn't know as well. He's, he was actually part of Newcastle United's academy. So, he actually, was playing against a former team tonight. So that's pretty funny. No worries, Mia. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hopefully your back's all right. Football Crew Show says, Luke Shaw played well for me, man of the match. I think, again, Luke Shaw was obviously given the man of the match for the BT Sport pundits. So, yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I think that's definitely a fair shout, Football Crew Show. Adam says Bruno Fernandes. Just the way we like it, Adam. Just the way we like it. Liam Martin, thanks for joining, Liam. Appreciate it. Obviously from Daz's channel, I'll see you over there. Appreciate you coming, Liam. So yeah, appreciate you coming through. As I said, guys, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. And also make sure you check out all the channels that we mentioned, Daz's Football Stand and Rich Sports as well for the moment, and Adam Talk Sport. Make sure you do check out all those guys if you haven't already. Naveen says, I told you Saint-Maximin will be worrying us. Thanks for joining, Naveen. It's always great to hear from you. Yeah, you did say it. You absolutely called it perfectly. I mean, it's good that we got the win as well. But yeah, Saint-Maximin was the player that did worry me and probably worried most United fans going into this game. And he got his goal, and he took his goal very, very well indeed into the roof of the net. So yeah, Saint-Maximin was always the player that was going to worry me. But fair play to him. He did what he had to do. But luckily, didn't matter in the end. Unfortunately, we didn't keep a clean sheet. We've only kept 8 clean sheets in the league this season. But, Saint-Maximin's a decent player. You have to give it to him. And I think potentially in the future, if he continues his development, could be at one of these big European clubs. I really do. Matthew's joined us. Thanks for joining. He says, Bruno shithousing a goal and assist. Love it. Careful on the swearing, but thank you very much for for coming on, appreciate it. But yeah, you love to see it. You really do love to see it. Connor says, think David De Gea's wife has his balls in a jar at the home because he refuses to move off his line. Yeah, David De Gea, to be fair, again, wasn't really that commanding coming off the line. And I think that's something which a lot of people say that Dean Henderson does a lot better than David De Gea. And to be honest with you, on recent evidence, I'd have to agree. But I don't think De Gea had his worst game today. I don't think. Some people were arguing that maybe for the Saint-Maximin goal he could have saved it, but I wouldn't agree with that, to be honest. But yeah, I think David De Gea recently has been copping a lot of stick, and some of it I think is fair enough, especially after the Everton game. I think he was really poor. I think even he would say he had a shocker against Everton. So, after that game, yeah, stick's probably, valid. But I think after that Everton game, I don't think he's putting that poor of a performance. Naveen says, Martial is a bit frustrating these days. He's slow. Look at Rashford and James running their arse off. When Martial's showing off Zidane moves, that's it. Yeah, I think that's one thing that, people say about Martial is that, you look at Rashford, you look at James, look at Fernandes, they've all got better work rate. And I think Martial is the type of player that's really good on the ball in terms of flair and skills. But you need to have a bit of substance behind that. You need to be able to, make that final pass, create the final chance. And Martial right now just doesn't have that in his game. He's had it before, and I'm sure he'll have it again. But right now, he just doesn't have that spark that we saw, towards the end of last season or, a few seasons ago. So hopefully he gets that back. But right now, we have to accept that he's not on form. Mod Kieran would be great. To be fair, Liam, I don't really have too many mods because obviously, as you can see, I don't have too many people on in the chat. So. And also my chat's very respectful, so I don't have too many mods in action. Unfortunately, I'm not really looking for mods at this moment in time. But hopefully, if we do get any bigger, I will be getting some more mods. But yeah, as I said, I don't really need that many mods at this point. But yeah, I mean, thanks for offering. It's always good to offer. Connor says, James and Alan Wan-Bissaka, solid job surrounding Alan Saint-Maximin every time he gets a touch. I thought they did well. Again, they both did well on that side. So hopefully we can see more of that. I mean, to be honest with you, the Bruno Fernandes, the Daniel James and Alan Wan-Bissaka partnership I thought was alright. The one thing I do say about those two is that often in games, you do see them kind of clashing into each other a little bit. You do see them, just getting in each other's way a little bit. You want to see Daniel James running down the line because we know how fast Daniel James can be, and if he gets in behind, it's very rare that someone's gonna catch him. So you'd hope that James would just get in behind, and then Alan Wan-Bissaka would feed him, and that's the sort of thing that you want to see, kind of like Beckham and Gary Neville, just a little bit dulled down than Beckham and Neville, but just about the same. Naveen says, after a long time you can see so many crosses on right wing, we could deliver. That's why we need Sancho. Well, we've been saying this all season. We've been saying this exact thing all season, that we've had so many opportunities in games where we have the ball on the wing and we never seem to cross it in. Now, for me, I think when we've got Cavani on the pitch, it's a crime that we don't cross the ball in more. But when we don't, I actually think it's cleverer to maybe build up a little bit more, because realistically, how many times do you see Rashford or Martial get themselves on the end of a header? You don't see it often. And again, we had a few times in this game where players would get to the byline, put a ball across, and our forwards were nowhere to be seen. It would just go straight through for a throw-in. So again, that's another thing that we need to work on if we are to up our goal tally a little bit and score goals in games which might not be the best looking goals. They might just be tap-ins, but they're all important in terms of the results. So again, that is something we need to work on a little bit. But at the same time, we won this game. I'm not going to be negative. We won this game, and we've now 6 points inside the top 4, 9 points ahead of Liverpool as well. What's not to love at the moment, except for the fact that Man City seems to be running away with it. But apart from that, what is not to love at the moment? Connor says Cavani and McTominay missed dearly today. I thought Cavani was definitely missed today, especially in that first half. In that first half, it was a shocking performance, really, from Manchester United. Once again, I mean, our first half football has not been good this season. And actually, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's very rare that we have a faultless first half and we play really well. It's usually the second half that we start to kick on and play well. So that's the thing that I don't really get, is that we are second half FC. The amount of times we've come back this season from losing positions is ridiculous, and we need to get better at just being a 90-minute team rather than being a half team. Yes, if we get the results, I'm always going to take it, but realistically, we need to make sure we're better for more than just 45 minutes, because against a better team, and we are playing some better teams in the league coming up, we've got Chelsea and we've got City coming up in our next few games. So against those sides, if you're slacking that first half like we were, you could be 2 or 3-0 down at half time, and then it's all about what are you going to do in the second half to get back from it. So we need to be careful with that. So yeah, man of the match shouts. I think obviously Dazza mentioned Luke Shaw there. I think you could probably make a case for Daniel James as well. I thought Daniel James played well, especially with all the criticism that he seems to be receiving and people saying he shouldn't be starting. I think realistically on form, Daniel James is probably one of our best forwards right now, especially after the way he played against Sociedad, the way he played tonight. He seems really, really hungry to put himself in the mind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the rest of the coaching staff in terms of team selection, and I'm all here for it. That's what you want from those fringe players. You want them to be really hungry. You want them to be, fighting for their place, and it looks as if Daniel James is doing that. So hopefully he can continue to do that. Naveen says, I want to see Telles, Cavani and James in one match. Crosses and crosses. That's what Greenwood and Ahmad couldn't do with their left foot. Yeah, it seemed like having those guys on the pitch wouldn't be the worst thing if we were to start spamming crosses a little bit. But I think the last time we've had that strategy of putting out to the right or left hand side and just crossing it in was when we still had Romelu Lukaku, and that was pretty well our main strategy, was just to kind of whip the ball in and put it on Lukaku's head. Now obviously we've got Edison Cavani, who does a similar job, and his movement is probably better arguably than Romelu Lukaku. So yeah, we need to maybe make sure we suit our tactics to the players that we have on the pitch. So obviously Cavani coming in, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some crosses, but without Cavani, I just don't see the point in spamming crosses into the box. But that's just me. Connor says, needs to be a super rest team on Thursday going into the coming fixtures after. Yeah, totally agree. We've got Chelsea coming up, we've got City coming up, so massive games really in terms of our top four hopes. If we can beat Chelsea, you'd really think at that point we'd be favourites for top four if we could beat Chelsea, because I think they're the team that we're 6 points in front of. So we need to make sure that we win against them. We can go 9 points clear of them, and hopefully we can see them off. And if we can beat Man City as well, I don't want to talk about a title challenge, because I think that's pretty well done and dusted. I think Man City won't drop too many more points than they have, but if we can beat Man City at the Etihad, it'd be a monumental victory considering the way they're playing right now. I think they're on 18 consecutive wins, and I think by the time if they beat us, it'll be 20 consecutive wins, or maybe 21 if they win in the the Champions League. Sorry. Naveen says, Matic and Fred too static, mid. No creativity, just passing and holding, costing us attempts. That's the thing. At the start of this game, when I saw them starting, I was thinking, we're playing Newcastle United. Surely we need a bit more creativity. But, obviously we got the result in the end, and, that was through a few bits of individual brilliance, a few bits of luck, but we got through it in the end, and I think we thoroughly deserved the 3 points. So, Ollie will probably say, it's the results that matter, and it is. Football is a results business, but that first half performance, once again, was just not good enough. As Rich says here, not bad today, played quite average for 50-55 minutes, but won 3-1. I think that was, the summary of the game, really, was that we only actually played decently for maybe 20-30 minutes in that game, but we got the job done in that time, and that's what you need when you're a top side and when you're going for these Champions League places. You have to still get through in those games where you're struggling and it seems nothing's going right, you're not really creating anything, but you just have a period of 15-20 minutes where you're on fire and you're creating chances. You take 2 of those chances, all of a sudden it's your game to lose at that point. So that's what we've been doing this season, and that's why we're in the position we are. Naveen says, Matic and Fred... Oh no, I've already read that one out, sorry. Connor says, unfortunately, nothing else we could do with midfield-wise with all else injured. Exactly, we have got a few injuries, to be fair. Hopefully they will heal up soon, and hopefully we can go back to having a fully fit squad. Obviously, apart from Phil Jones, who, again, is out for another 6 weeks. That guy just can't catch a break. Naveen says, we definitely need Declan Rice, man. He is it. 20 million plus Lingard. To be fair, Lingard's doing alright. I'm not sure if he'd get into our first team, but he is doing alright, Lingard. You have to give him credit. He's having a decent time at West Ham, and hopefully continues that. I want to see him with a smile on his face, and that's what he said after the game. He said he's playing his football with a smile on his face, and that's what you want to see. Rich says, shows a lack of depth still. City are about 20 players that are first team quality. Yeah, I think that's the truth. If you look at City's bench tonight against Arsenal, it was stacked. Their bench, if you played them in a first team game in the Premier League, they would probably get top 4, and that's just a fact, really. So I agree, we still have a little bit of a lack in depth, but actually in terms of squads in the Premier League, we're probably up there with the best right now. So we still need a few other players. And Connor says Zakaria is sold as well, plus a bit cheaper. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about him. A lot of people talking about him, saying that maybe he's the guy to go for. But anyway, guys, I'm probably going to end the stream there. I obviously said it was going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you do check out Rich Sports as well. Make sure you check out Yank Talking Smack, Dazzle's Football Stand, all those channels. Make sure you do check out all those guys. But thanks for joining this, albeit kind of shorter stream than usual. I've got some things to do after this, so that's why it's been a little bit shorter. But I will be joining you live for the preview for the Sociedad game as well. But before we leave it, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate all your support and all the recent videos and all the recent live streams. Keep that coming. Make sure you do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, of course, and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below if you're watching as a video. Let me know your thoughts on tonight's game. 3-1 win to United, 6 points in the top 4. Happy days, so far so good. Hopefully we continue this form into our next few games. But until then, thank you so much to everyone who's been watching. Really do appreciate it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.